Well, it has been a while, but we finally have. We have the famous Wang back, who he's been busy in the meantime with his website, nextbigfuture.com, which is now averaging, you said, 1,500,000 views a month.
Yep. Chugging along.
Man, that's the number one science blog in the world, right?
Yep.
And every day, cool stuff about a full range of things, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
Now, it took me, Brian, 12 months. I just got my numbers yesterday. It took me 12 months to get to 4 million views on this YouTube channel.
Nice.
So I'd love to have 1.5 million a month, man.
Yeah.
I'll be shooting for that. Anyway, if you haven't gone and taken a look at Brian's website, thenextbigfuture.com, you are missing out. You should definitely be going there. At least, what do you say, once or twice a day, right, Brian?
Yeah, once or twice a day, for sure.
All right. Well, we've come together today. Over the course of we're going to do 3 episodes. And in these 3 episodes, we're going to cover stuff that I don't think anybody else really in the community is covering. I think they're 3 very interesting and potentially extremely profitable categories to talk about. The first we're going to talk about today is going to be Tesla as a utility. And we're going to be talking about this because this is kind of the secret business. Nobody's talking about Tesla as utility. But the other day, Brian, they started a new utility company in Australia.
Right. They filed for it. Yes.
They filed for it. And they said very specifically, we intend to disrupt the traditional utility business in Australia and around the world. I mean, this is no secret anymore, except for the community. I don't think nobody's talking about it. So what do you think?
Right.
Think this is another big deal?
So I think the main thing is that they have a cost advantage with the virtual power plant. There was a study done by the Brattle Group, and not quite sure I got the pronunciation of that right, that looked at energy storage with the virtual power plants compared to natural gas peaker plants and the other alternatives. And they were saying that there was a 40 to 60% cost advantage to doing that. So that's, way less on the asset side. And really, it's kind of like this Airbnb approach to energy, where Airbnb compete with hotels, but then they say, okay, I'm taking your room from your house to, make it like a hotel room, right? But here, they're saying, I'm taking your power wall, which you paid for, and your solar, and then we're making it available generally. So it's an asset-light approach and a thicker margin way to go at a business. So it's clearly cost superior, and the question of how much does Tesla get out of it? How much does the customer get out of it? Again, like Airbnb. Airbnb, they can get 80% margins. It's just it's like software for them. But then it's some of their financials kind of funky, but they have substantially more margins than a regular hotel.
Yeah, no, I did Airbnb. I have a home over in Inglewood, and I was the only one in it for a while. And so I had 4 extra bedrooms that nobody was sleeping in. So I did Airbnb. Man, it was really, but it's an imposition on your life unless you happen to be somebody who just loves, folks and getting around and, having to deal with all kinds of, in some cases, very strange people. But asking me if I'll share the energy out of my power wall is not very intrusive at all. And It would seem like to be a no-brainer. Right.
It's just pure money. And you can adjust how much you retain on the energy and that kind of stuff. But then Tesla can also go at more megapacks. They can say, okay, we've seen all the data on the megapack farms that they've done in Australia, looked at the returns. They know the exact financials because they're monitoring all the data. So they can say, okay, we now know where to stick new megapack farms, and probably also have an idea where to stick new solar. So they can then pick and choose where to enter into those energy markets. And they can choose to spend some money to get assets because they can look at, say, maybe the Inflation Reduction Act says we'll pay for 60% of your megapack. So it's like I'm still almost got a free megapack, and then I also can double use it because I can use it for a mega charging station. So they can, again, have better utilization of their assets when they choose to spend on it. When they get the credits to get, okay, I'm not getting 100% free because I'm using your Powerwall,
right?
But I'm getting a ultra subsidized mega pack, and I also could choose to double use it with charging.
So basically, let's make sure that we're not getting ahead of the folks. So basically, Tesla is saying, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be Edison. I'm going to be Southern California Edison. I'm going to be, whatever your electric utility is, and you're sending them a check for $150, $350, $550, $800 a month. And instead, you're going to be sending that check to Tesla. Or potentially, you're going to still be sending some money to your energy company, whoever that happens to be, whoever's supplying it. But you've got a Powerwall in your wall, and you've got a solar on the roof, or maybe you've got one or both, and you've got excess energy sometimes. Maybe you've got excess energy during the day, but not so much in the night. And Tesla's going to come in, and they're just going to pull from your energy as necessary in order to balance the grid or to take care of problems on a really bad day when the local resources are not adequate to take care of things. And so these are two different ways. Now, if they're a utility, you're saying they might have a mega pack that they've set up in a region because they know it's going to be successful for them. Would they be supplying their own energy for that mega pack, or would that be an arbitrage?
I think it's a choice for when they do it. I would think that depending upon the demand, it would make sense to say, okay, if I know that 100% I'm going to be using up to X, which is like 20 megapacks all the time, day in, day out, then they say, okay, we will get these megapacks and they're discounted and we'll have those. And then we'll wholesale the variable. So, okay, sometimes they need more, sometimes they need less. I will then buy it as cheap as I can to get the rest.
Yeah, so they'll buy it from the grid. They'll buy it from the existing utility provider. Is there any possibility of buying it directly from the producer? So if I've got a solar farm or a wind farm and I'm selling my energy to, we'll just use Southern California Edison, which is a biggie. If I'm going to sell to Southern California Edison, Elon comes along and says, hey, I'll pay you more for your energy than Edison. Could they be buying it directly from some of these suppliers?
I think it depends upon the regulatory thing in the state, wherever you are, because there are regulated markets and there's unregulated markets. And then I think that determines, because some of them may say, you must go through energy company XYZ. They're it. You must go through them. So in that case, they wouldn't be able to go direct to the solar farm. They'd have to say, okay, I must go to you because you control the market. Whether they enter that market, that's another question. If the deal are too bad, they can say, we can choose not to be there. They can pick and choose where they want to go.
Right. Okay, and so there's this arbitrage thing that they can do with their own megapacks, but then you're saying there's another level, which is I sell a megapack. Tesla sells a megapack or 10 megapacks or whatever to Pepsi, as a great example. And then Pepsi uses it to fill up their trucks on a regular basis. But it turns out that they also don't always need 100% of what those megapacks can do. So Pepsi could enter into a direct relationship with the local utility, or Tesla could say, look, we'll manage that for you for a fee. Is that another?
Right. Another option. Right. And then they could also say that we can divert over the trucks and the other traffic, where we can open up the fence in one section so that people can get in, other trucking companies or other cyber trucks or something can get into a particular area. Potentially there can be a pure Airbnb thing like that, where you could have some kind of meter on a home residential thing. But then it goes to, at that point, you'd be having the issue that you had with Airbnb, where it's like you're inconveniencing the person, the company, right? Because people are actually coming onto your property.
Now, you threw another one into the mix this morning. I didn't quite understand it. You're saying we've always talked about the idea that the fleet could, excuse me, reverse their power into a power pack in the home. And so far, that's not possible on Tesla, but it's possible, I guess, on a few of the other makes out there. Tesla has said they've been resisting doing this. One way or the other, some cars in the fleet, and maybe Teslas as well, will eventually be able to use their own cars as a backup. And you're saying that backup of the backup could also be part of the virtual power system.
Right. Because the rumor on the Cybertruck specs were that it would have an outlet to plug in your house or whatever, right? A 220 volt plug. So that, and then I think the Ford Lightning or the Rivian also let you do power to your home and to the grid, right? So if that exists, then you could pull your power, but it'd be at a probably a controlled level in terms of like it wouldn't be more than 220, like plugging in your washer, your dryer, or something like that. It wouldn't be like Powerwall hardwired in with a really we can draw at a higher rate. Okay,
but it could also, so because I've been talking on the channel for a long time about this whole idea of distributed everything, but it kind of starts with distributed energy. And so the virtual power production idea is that you could eventually, in a neighborhood, you might have half the homes or maybe more than half the homes that have at least a power wall, and maybe a lot of those homes also have the rooftop solar, and then maybe in addition they've got some kind of electric vehicle in the building, and all of those then could work together, and using software could balance out and make wise decisions about how much of that stays at home and how much of that goes off to the utility or to Tesla in some way, in order to balance the system or provide energy elsewhere. Is that?
So, that goes to your idea of distributed everything, and the idea that I've been talking about in terms of like distributed compute, with virtual cloud computing and that kind of thing, goes toward that thing where your vehicle, your Cybertruck, your Model 3 has 60, 100 kilowatt hours of battery pack. And then it also has 144, 500 tera ops, if you have a hardware 3 or hardware 4 of compute. And then you can share the energy. You can share the energy of the compute. You can do the compute in the vehicle, so it uses the energy there, but you sell the electricity. You can sell the compute that you use the electricity for to provide that, because I have to use, say, 100 trillion operations or 1,000 trillion operations, but I pay for the energy to do that. So that's so that would be both, where you're sometimes I'm doing the compute here, sometimes I'm doing the compute over there, and everyone's doing this fungible sharing, and energy and compute is happening where you need it.
Yeah. So, and we're going to do a whole show on this idea of the arbitrage of the compute power of your automobile, which is I think a subject that deserves an entire episode. All right. So let me see now. So in addition to all of this, let's say, for instance, Tesla has solar on their roof at all of the gigafactories. Then they have a massive battery at Austin already. I'm sure they'll have massive batteries at all the gigafactories eventually. Now, do you think that those kinds of capacities that they're putting in at the gigafactories is greater than their use for those gigafactories, or do you think it's around the use? Do you have any clue on that? Or would they be potentially selling some of that capacity as well?
I'd be surprised if they could build more than they need, like on top of the roof. They'd have to have something beside them because every Costco, 108,000 square feet, that's about 1 megawatt on top of a roof. So their gigafactories are what, 5 million, 6 million square feet. So that'd be about like 40 times the size of a Costco, so 40 megawatts total. But then they need to, pre-charge a lot of batteries and stuff like that. So I think their energy demand would normally be far beyond what they could put on. Yeah.
All right. But we have talked about, for instance, the superchargers and eventually the mega chargers, where they're putting batteries into those locations, and they are going to be putting some solar in. And again, you're going to have a differential use during the day, during different seasons, depending on whether it's sunny out or not sunny out. So there is potential that those kinds of units would also be on the system or in the potential for energy being sold back to utilities.
So ultimately, when we convert all the trucks and the cars to electric and then have a substantial amount of megapacks, we're looking at about 20% of oil going over to electricity. So, the U.S. has 4,000 terawatt hours of electricity, roughly, and then 1,000 gigawatts of generation from coal and natural gas and all that kind of thing. So if you toss on 20% on that, then you're looking at 800 terawatt hours. You're looking at hundreds of gigawatts of like if you do it with solar, it tends to be about like one terawatt hour per gigawatt of solar. So you need to have more. The nameplate thing needs to be more. Anyway, so it may a lot of that is needed. And then the other factor, so that conversion needs a lot, but then Elon's talking about the AI data centers. So if AI takes off the way we think, then you'll need to double, triple, 10x the amount of electricity that we have, right? Which will take decades to achieve. But then Elon's thinking the next year, he's saying, we're short on chips this year, but next year we'll start being short on transformers and stuff like that. So that means that we're be in a energy shortage deficit situation starting from next year. And it's like, build as fast as you can, more and more energy. So thus the need for more fixed storage, more solar, a shortage of that for the mega packs, and then a shortage of the AI compute. Right. So if that situation develops, then the demand will be effectively unlimited for a few decades until we catch up. But we'll have
and Tesla will be involved at every level.
Right, and be involved at every level. Right. So then there's the need right now to shift over to enough energy storage to handle the cars, and everyone's using Tesla for storage, and we're short. Like Tesla needs to have, we need to have 100 or 1,000 truck charging stations if we want to effectively have 50,000 semi trucks rolling around, right? So if we're going to make that many, we're short on how many we have. Right now, we'll have to restrict how they're used until we catch up. So we'll be behind on the infrastructure on megapacks. I anticipate, and Elon's saying as well, that we'll be behind on AI, we'll be behind on energy. So we'll be in this energy deficit situation. So people who say, oh, I'm looking at the existing natural gas peaker plants and we can substitute out 3 years of megapack production, blah, 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 is assuming that we're in the we don't change situation, which the Europe and the United States have been in for a few decades, a couple decades, right? But China we're building 10%, 20% more power every year as we went from far less energy in the United States to double the United States energy. They passed, 10 years ago, I think, the United States, and now they're past the United States and Europe, and now they're past double the United States, where your economic productivity, massive GDP growth, everyone getting richer happens. So if we're all getting richer and needing more power and compute, and then we go to a different situation than what people, what we've experienced in North America and Europe.
So I did a little research, and it turns out that right now the total amount of energy sold, in other words, what I pay and you pay to your local utility company around the world, turns out to be about $1.5 trillion business. About 500 billion of that is in the US, about 500 billion in China, and 500 billion everywhere else, sort of, approximately. Mm-hmm. So if it's going to triple, according to Elon, and we don't know for sure if he's right, but it sounds like he has some good reasons that are even beyond what you and I can possibly know, that it's going to be going up to 4.5 trillion. Of course, we talk about the idea that the price per unit might be coming down. The price per kilowatt hour might be coming down as we get better and better at it. But maybe that's 10 years from now. Maybe the next 5 or 6 years, as we're in shortage, a lot of money is going to be going into the infrastructure. A lot of CapEx is going to have to be put in by companies like Tesla and the utilities in order to triple this capacity. So maybe energy prices won't be coming down in the short term. So if there's 4.5 trillion potential business 5 years from now, how much of it will Tesla get? Not megapacks. Not talking about megapacks. I'm just talking about the pennies, just the pennies that you and I are paying for our 12 cents an hour, or a kilowatt hour, whatever. Could they get 1% of that business using all these little arbitrages and all these power, virtual power plants and everything, just a little here, a little there? Maybe they get 1%. That'd be a lot.
Yeah, that'd be a lot. But if every roof has solar, you can get to about 10% of current U.S. electricity. So if they dominate that market, then you'd be looking at 5%. But the other situation would be, right now they're not dominating solar. But the change in situation is, if they get Tesla bot working, and then their labor installation stuff all goes down, then they dominate. So it's basically 2%, 4%, 5% if they're an ordinary company. But if we're correct, they're not an ordinary company, and they can do humanoid bot in 2 years, 3 years, then they win big, and we win big, right? So it's one of those things where it's tough to predict Tesla, because it's like, if they're close to ordinary, there's this, and there's a 2%, 1%, whatever, of a nice big thing where things go pretty good, where revenue at, double, triple what we're at now. And then there's a thing where they go next level and things that go 10x, 100x, right? So it depends, again, on Tesla bot. If that happens, then we can say they will get a lot more.
So I think as a bare minimum, what we're going to say on this show is that this is a completely missed secret, potential massive revenue source, easily in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
For less than 1% of the overall business. And they are attacking it at all of these different levels that are completely disruptive. And that basically anybody else, there's one other significant player in the Powerwall business and 2 or 3 other significant players in the Megapack business. Don't really hear much from anybody except maybe the utilities themselves doing virtual power production pack. Yeah. So it sounds like Tesla is in the lead, way in the lead on all this again. And even if it was 1%, it would only be, $450 billion a year. I don't know. Seems like something we could start to pencil in a little bit in our future.
Yep.
All right, Brian, this is great. Thank you so much. We're going to do, as mentioned, we're going to do 2 more of these completely unique stories. The one that we're going to do next, we're going to be talking about that other virtual thing, the virtual compute, which might end up paying. Remember now, virtual Powerwall is possibly paying you money and virtual compute too. So anyway, Brian, thanks so much for being on. And for all of you out there, don't forget to check out Brian on
Next Big T. Yes.
Okay, .com.
Yeah.
And for all of you out there, it's been great talking to you. If you don't mind, I do want to pitch my little device here. I have these little devices for $25. You can't believe how cool this is. Look at how thick the stainless. I mean, holy mackerel! It comes in a camo as well. It's a can opener. I mean, I'm sorry, not a can opener, a bottle opener. So you got your bottle opener here too, and it's got a magnet on the back so you can slap it up on your fridge. I mean, is this good or what? So anyway, you just send $25 to my PayPal account. It's down in the information below. Just click on there. You can send it 20. Now, if you're out of the country, I got to charge you an extra $20 for freight. So, or if you join my Patreon, I'll give you one at the $10 level. I'll give you one for free.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.